Douglas Murray, writing in The Spectator, linked below, says of the decision to commute the sentence of Chelsea Manning, "I cannot help suspecting that the fact that Manning now says he is not a man called Bradley but a woman called Chelsea has made the former private's case an even more cherished cause for those who like to think they're behind all the right on, if not the right causes." Which, if true, is truly a blow for trans rights, in that trans women will now be treated as females before the law, and therefore not punished as harshly as men for the same crime. And this will no doubt lead to Corporal Klinger immediately launching a case for sexual discrimination against the army for her harsh treatment during the Korean War, leading to a massive payout due to compound interest. In his piece, Mr. Murray makes a number of general assertions about the damage Manning did by leaking secrets. You know, the sort of thing, how people's lives were put at risk, diplomatic relations damaged, and laughably, that people would be less likely to trust the United States in future. This article in The Nation, linked below, gives a list of things that were contained within the documents leaked by Manning. I shall leave you to read the full article, but for your edification and to pass the time, I shall pick a few at random. Details on Vatican hiding big sex abuse cases in Ireland. State Department memo: US-backed 2009 coup in Honduras was illegal and unconstitutional. Cables showed the UK promised in 2009 to protect US interests in the official Chilcot Quarry on the start of the Iraq War. Hundreds of cables detail US use of diplomats as sales agents, more than previously thought, centering on jet rivalry of Boeing versus Airbus, hints of corruption and bribes. Though I suspect what most people were more interested in were the cool videos of helicopter gunships shooting up civilians, as they're always good for a laugh, linked below. But regardless, the commuting of Manning's sentence has led to him either being her either being praised as a heroine or condemning her as a dumb bimbo, which again is a blow for trans rights, as Manning is being treated like any other woman. She's either a saint or a slag. And speaking of saints, the White House website had this gem, linked below. While the mercy the President has shown his 1,597 clemency recipients is remarkable, we must remember that clemency is an extraordinary remedy granted only after the President has concluded that a particular individual has demonstrated a readiness to make use of his or her second chance. How lovely, and how reminiscent of those medieval kings who once a year would wash the feet of the poor and offer alms. And while we're on the subject of pardons, the world waits with bated breath for Obama to pardon the Clintons. I realise that there is a view that Obama will not pardon Hillary Clinton for all crimes past, present and future because he doesn't like her, and that he can't pardon her anyway because the alleged offences that she is said to have committed aren't covered by the pardon. The problem is that if he doesn't, or at least doesn't try and extend the limits of the presidential pardon, he could easily get dragged into the criminal case of, for instance, the email server, having denied he knew of his existence, but apparently contacting her via that server using an unregistered device and under a previous unknown moniker. On top of which there is this Pizzagate business still hanging about, and the matter of those $65,000 hot dogs. Speaking of which, I recommend listening to the May Brussels tapes on satanic abuse in the US Army, link below. The news of Chelsea Manning's commutation, God, that woman has balls naming herself after Hillary's baby, has led to Assange trending on Twitter, with the angry brigade that constitutes the die-hard Democrats demanding to know when Assange is going to extradite himself to America to face justice. This caused my irony meter to break and led to my having to go to the doctor with suspected polonium poisoning. Which reminds me, have you seen the story of Roger Stone supposedly being poisoned with polonium? Link below. If this is true, it is yet another example of how dumb and out of touch the deep state is. Why on earth would you poison a man who has close ties to the purveyor of water filters and the purest form of iodine mankind has ever known? Not that the cure will only require filtered water and iodine. Oh no! Mr. Stone will need super male ejaculation pills, brain tonic, and quite possibly a few bags of coffee and a t-shirt or two. But back to my broken irony meter. Just stop and think for a minute what mercy is. I'll give you a minute. Goodness and mercy all my life shall surely follow me, and in God's house forevermore my dwelling place shall be. All I'm saying is that it's a rather strange concept of mercy to pardon someone in order to get hold of their mate to give them a good kicking. But then the president also has the annual duty of pardoning a turkey, only to eat another one on Thanksgiving. At which point I am legally required, in my role as alternative media, to state that WikiLeaks and Julian Assange are real journalists and have shown just how much the legacy media is fake news. And in my role as me, I am required to say to some extent I agree. I certainly do not take Mr. Murray's view. I remember when WikiLeaks first appeared, far from being shocked by the released diplomatic communiques, my reaction was that if they showed anything, they showed that nation-states hire sensible people to report objectively about and from the countries to which they are dispatched. For instance, go back to the Nation article for a moment. They highlight that thanks to Chelsea Manning, we now know Israel wanted to bring Gaza to the brink of collapse. Oh my God! Those evil Jews! Quick! Throw the Jaffa oranges in the harbour! In what sense is this either news or shocking? That Israel would want to bring about the collapse of Gaza, which is run by terrorists, and it happens to have a coastline off which sits a rather large gas field. Personally, I would have been more shocked if the Nation had chosen to highlight the way in which Hamas smashed up the press agency in Gaza, threatened the journalists working there before threatening to murder any blogger who dared write anything bad about them. Oh, and then beat up a bunch of teenagers who dared organise a free speech rally. But obviously, because I know this, and I know about the Moonface hairdressing salon, and am therefore sceptical, I must be a Zionist. And on the subject of following the money, check out the way in which gas contracts played a part in the last round of fighting in Gaza. I'm just saying. Which brings us to Snowden, who has had his visa extended in Russia. Link below. Douglas Murray specifically connects Manning and Snowden in his article. And of course, leaks encourage leaks. It's no surprise that shortly after Manning, another low-level figure in what is meant to be America's security apparatus, Edward Snowden, stole and dumped yet another trove of the nation's secrets, a cache which proved even richer for the enemies of America, Britain, and our allies. Leave aside the assertion that somehow Snowden was encouraged to act because somehow Manning was a gateway drug, and instead focus on America, Britain, and our allies, because one of the things Snowden was supposed to have leaked was the news that America was bugging Angela Merkel's chats with Putin. I would suggest, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the big difference between Manning and Snowden is that Snowden blew the whistle on what was being done to our supposed friends. Manning just confirmed what people already knew and provided pictures. Right, I'm off to slip into something comfortable in the hope of getting off lightly on charges of lewd behaviour with a pastry.